Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, a massive matchup not only in the landscape of the ACC, but I would dare to say college football playoff implications on the line. Pitt heading on the road to play SMU, where you look at this matchup and you say Pitt sitting there at 7-0, 3-0 in conference play. The Pitt fans know, hey, I'll put my hand up and say, I wasn't sure about this Pitt team heading into that matchup against Syracuse. I feel a lot confident coming out of that Thursday night game that this Pitt team is legit. They're dangerous on both sides of the football, going up against an SMU team that's sitting there 7-1, 4-0 in conference play. They made the change to Kevin Jennings at quarterback a couple of weeks ago, and it's been massive. Take a look at the last couple of games: 501 total yards against Stanford, 481 against Louisville, 458 against Florida State. You look at SMU playing that Duke game and say, yeah, it was a 1 point victory against a Duke team that SMU probably should have beaten by a little bit more. They turned the football over 6 times. They lost the turnover battle 6-0 in that football game and still figured out a way to win. And if you're SMU, you're looking at the back half of the schedule and saying, if we can get by Pitt, you go BC at home, on the road at Virginia, Cal at home. Very gettable schedule. There is a very real possibility that SMU is sitting there at the end of the season 11-1, undefeated in conference play. These two teams, it's a college football playoff ramification game. I think that's what excites most fans heading into this one. Now, before we get into the matchup, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been a blast predicting these games, and the amount of support y'all continue to show to the fellas. It's been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, let it fly in the comment section. A lot of different ways you can look at how this game plays out. Without further ado, let's get into this one. I want to start with what I think is by far the most fascinating matchup in this game. That's that SMU offense going up against a Pitt defense that, again, had Kyle McCord in an absolute torture chamber on Thursday night. A very good Syracuse offense. Pitt's defense, so many different looks, coverage packages, blitz packages. Kyle McCord's a very experienced quarterback that's been around the game of football at the college level for a very long time. Kyle McCord was just confused the whole game. Now you look at this Pitt defense and say maybe struggled a little bit early on in the 2024 season. Very good the last couple of weeks. And you look at the overall numbers and say, all right, 23 points per game allowed. That's 43rd in the country. Pretty solid. Nothing to write home about. Only 4.5 yards per play allowed. That is top 10 in the country. This Pitt defense is much better than what some of the box scores will show you throughout their 2024 season. Look, it comes down to kind of simple things, right? When you can stop the run, which Pitt is doing, 2.6 yards per carry allowed. That's number 3 in the country. And you can get after the passer with a laundry list of different guys from the inside of the defensive line, from the edge rushers to the backers to the safeties. It's a good recipe to play really, really good defense. And we saw that all kind of come together Thursday night against Syracuse. The biggest matchup in my mind is this is a Pitt defense that wants to be aggressive. They want to send pressure. Can SMU take advantage of that and hit the explosive play? Because you look at SMU, that's what it's predicated on. They want to go fast. They want to find explosive plays. But one of the more intriguing matchups here is, look, SMU wants to run the football. They run the football 58% of the time. That's 20th most in the country against a Pitt front seven. I should just say Pitt defense because, quite frankly, those safeties play an absolute role in stopping the run. That is very good against the run, top 3 in the country. What matchup wins out? Can SMU get the ground game going against Pitt? Because you look at SMU, like how this SMU offense wants to run. They want to win on first and second down, stay on schedule, and run fast. If Pitt can prevent them from staying on schedule, force some third and longs, dial up some pressure, slow down this SMU offense, that's kind of one of the keys to this football game. And I think secondly, can SMU hit the explosive play when Pitt wants to bring pressure? Can you do some misdirection? Can you get some guys going down for SMU doesn't want to push the ball down the field that often, but they're really, really good at getting their playmakers in space and manufacturing yards after the catch. With how aggressive this Pitt defense wants to be, can you find those matchups, get your playmakers in space, and have them get to work here? And there's a lot. I think that's what makes this SMU offense so hard to deal with is, RJ Maryland, who's now out with an injury, got a lot of the national media attention. They have what, 7 players that have caught for over 150 yards on this SMU offense. Like there's a lot of different guys that SMU relies on to manufacture some of those explosives. And quite frankly, the new tight end Matt Hibner, I know he fumbled against Duke, blocked his tail off in that game, and I thought was pretty productive. And so you kind of do still have a difference maker. I'm a Michigan fan, so I'm familiar with Matt Hibner. You kind of do have a guy that I think is intriguing for SMU at the tight end spot. Comes down to a couple things: red zone scoring. Can SMU not turn the football over, which was a massive problem against Duke? And can you use the Pitt aggressive defense against them? Pre-snap motion, some misdirection. That's kind of how you unsettle an aggressive defense like Pitt. Those are some of the matchups that we're going to be looking at. I'm really excited. You're going to see two really, really good, well-coached units go to battle against each other. Going to be a really fun matchup. Now, you flip the sides and say, as much as this Pitt defense has been impressive, this Pitt offense is averaging 36 points per game. That's 19th best in the country. Desmond Reed at running back, lightning in a bottle. Him and Brashad Smith, the two running backs, you're going to see the two primary running backs, Desmond Reed and Brashad Smith. Those are going to be, at least in my opinion, some really, really exciting running backs. They want to get involved as pass catchers. They're really good in space. They're not the biggest running backs, but they're absolute electric factories when they do get to the second level and have the ball in space. You feel like both of those running backs are going to have opportunities to impact this game. The caveat for Pitt that I'm looking at here, SMU's been really good at creating turnovers, right? They're creating 2.1 turnovers per game. That's top 50 or top 20 in the country. Although on the box score, Eli Olstein only has 5 interceptions and has played very good for Pitt. There's no arguing that. He is top 10 in the country in turnover worthy plays. And I think Pitt fans know that. Pitt fans who watch every single snap of this Pitt team, Eli Holstein will put the ball in harm's way. Syracuse had some opportunities that they didn't capitalize on. Can SMU capitalize on those opportunities? And you're seeing two programs and two teams that they're going to be aggressive on offense. They're going to try to make some big time throws, but they're also going to put the ball in harm's way. What defense can capitalize on those mistakes? Going to be a big storyline. Similar to Pitt, there's a lot of guys that get involved in this passing attack, probably led by Keontae Mumpfield for Pitt. But again, guys like Desmond Reed, they want to get involved out of the backfield. I think this Pitt offense is a lot more dangerous with this new offensive coordinator than a lot of people are used to talking about with this Pitt offense. And you look at SMU's defense, we talked about Pitt being really good against the run. SMU's quite good against the run as well. Elijah Roberts is quite frankly one of the better defensive linemen, I should say, that you see in the country. 16 run stops on the year, 34 quarterback hurries. That kid gets it done not only in run defense, but as a pass rusher. So you kind of sprinkle in some difference makers for both of these teams on the defensive side of the football getting into the pick here. And this is a tough one, right? Pitt heading on the road, 7.5-point dogs as an undefeated top 20 ranked team. I'm gonna lean SMU here. And I don't feel great about it. I feel like this game can very likely come down to whoever has a chance to score last might win this football game. I think SMU is really finding their stride, and if they can limit the amount of turnovers and be just a little bit more careful with the football against Pitt, I think I'm gonna lean SMU at home here. Tough travel game for Pitt, but this is gonna be a really fun one. I'm fired up for it. Again, let it fly in the comment section, Pitt fans. I know y'all are gonna disagree with me, so let it fly. That is the beauty of doing this. Appreciate y'all rocking with it. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.